Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Pep Organ. I thought I'd try a different kind of video, a walk and talk video, especially because these days I'm just so busy, it's hard to sit down and actually make a video. But I still have some things to say, and I thought I'd just share them with you today. Today I wanted to talk about what encourages young people to learn the organ. This is a really important topic because we always need more organists. There's always going to be a demand for them in various capacities. I know that in some places organists are becoming somewhat less necessary as organs are being taken out of churches. But in many places there is a growing need for organists and a continuing need for organists at churches and public venues. So I thought I'd just talk about how do we get young people to learn the organ. Let's start with myself, for instance. I started learning the organ because I was awarded a scholarship from my local conservatorium to study the organ. In their case, the Wollongong Town Hall, which you may have seen videos of, I was offered a scholarship because they wanted someone to play the organ. In fact, that town hall organ had been restored. It was in good condition, but it was never being used. And it was really sad, so they really wanted it to be used. So they had a scholarship, and I studied there for 1 year. And that was what really started my career of wanting to learn the organ and play the organ. So scholarships is an immediate obvious one to how to get young people to play the organ. Many people they're familiar with the piano. They're familiar with all sorts of instruments that are more popular than organ. So to get people to learn the organ, you have to actually have something that makes them, something to appeal to them and to get them interested. There's not many young people in many churches that have organs these days, and so the exposure to the organ through that method has quite significantly decreased. It's not something that I encountered myself. The church that I went to when I was young did not have an organ, and that's been the case for many people. So that's one thing. Then, of course, churches are the other way, and to get someone who's young to learn the organ is a great thing. If you have a church, for instance, and you have young people there, and those young people, among them there are pianists, I mean, it's a no-brainer to try and get them to learn the organ, to continue to the tradition. There are many people, for some reason, at churches who are very protective of their instruments, which I don't really understand. You should really be promoting your instrument. You should be getting as many people as you want, as many people as you can to go and play the instrument. You should be inviting communities to go and have a look at it and do tours. You should do everything to be an ambassador for your instrument, because if you don't really do that, then you might not have an organist one day, and it'd be really sad. Organs are, of course, a piece of history as much as they are such a powerful instrument. We all know how powerful the organ can be when we're live at an event at a church, hearing the organ on its tutti full sound. So as for churches, they can approach it with the same thing that I experienced, which is scholarships. Now, at the church where I work, I have established 3 organ scholarships. So 2 of them are for sort of high school students, and then 1 of them is for a tertiary level. And this works for me because I'm able to teach them, and I'm able to sort of mark their progress and put them through having to play for church services quite regularly. Of course, performance opportunities are really an important thing for all young people, and the church is uniquely positioned to be able to do that, to have music being performed every single week. So the creation of scholarships is a really, really big one. The other thing is just, of course, access. Now, I've actually encountered myself a number of people who were interested in learning the organ, but they quit. And the reason they quit wasn't because they couldn't get lessons, it's because they couldn't get practice time. So this is an issue that we all need to think about if we're organists or we're at a church with an organ. Try and think about ways to make your organ more accessible to people who want to play it. If you're just going to be not letting anyone play, or you're going to be charging a fee for people to use the organ, it's just an immediate roadblock for so many people. We can't just make the organ an instrument that is for the wealthy. It has to be something that everyone can play. So making the organ accessible, making it free, and making as few roadblocks as possible to allow young people to get into the church. You know, there might be other things that kind of, you know, have good intentions but are roadblocks. For instance, some kind of safety laws, some kind of requirement for a parent to be on site. Those things can also really get in the way. So there have to be really good sort of systems in place to allow, you know, young people to go and play the organs, especially local ones. They might be having a lesson, you know, 1 hour away, but then they want to have a church that's 5 minutes down the road, or that they can walk to, where they can also access the organ there. So that really is a matter for all churches to think about. And the way I think about it is not in a protective way. I've never thought of being protective of my organists or my organs. Rather, we should think about the whole community where you live. For me, in Sydney, Australia, which is where I'm walking now. We should think about all organs in the same way, and all organists in the same way. People are custodians in some ways of their instruments, but that needs to not be exclusive. They need to give lots of people an opportunity to be able to play the organs that they play, and really share their love of it. I mean, people are just going to have fun. They're really going to just enjoy using your organ. There's nothing wrong about sharing it. So there really is no reason to not give people access. So really, to be a young organist means, look, having some kind of financial support, whether that's a scholarship or whether that's having some other way of support, such as getting access to an organ, getting access to some kind of teacher. All those things go a very long way to helping people you know, pursue this amazing instrument that we all love. So I thought I'd just make that video today. And I hope that you enjoy this kind of format. I'm just walking through my favorite city, which is Sydney, on my way to work. And these thoughts have just been playing on my mind because I really do want more young organists to have access to instruments, have access to lessons, have access to good instruments, you know, as well. And so I've been working behind the scenes about thinking about ways to get people access to instruments and scholarships and all those kinds of things. And I have done it personally with the churches that I've been at, but there's a lot more to be done. And there's definitely a bigger discussion here. And perhaps maybe in the comments you can talk about some of the roadblocks that you may have encountered on your way to, you know, trying to get young people interested in the instruments. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.